Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year, welcome to 2023. So if this is your first time here, my name is Rarsa Maribi. On this channel, I film contents about my life as a PhD candidate in the United States, and I also film lifestyle content and sustainability education content. So if you love things like that, please stay tuned. Today's video is going to be a follow-up of a previous video I did, the video I did last year on how I got my sustainability consulting internship. So if you've not seen that video, it will be linked up here and down in the comment section. If you're interested in sustainability careers, consulting career, that video will be helpful. So since I posted that video, application period has come up for this particular internship, and congratulations to all you guys that have reached out to me saying you got to the next stage. Congrats. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about that next stage, which is the interview, the case interview stage. So I just want to share how I approached this interview. Of course, you need to do your research more and like prepare solely for like the studies that was sent to you. But I'm just going to be sharing an example of a case study on here and just discussing my approach, and I hope that helps you as you also prepare for your interview. So let's get right into it. So first off, I just wanted to let everyone know that when you get this particular internship, after you pass through the application phase, you get into the case interview phase where they share like 3 case studies and tell you to pick one to prepare for your case interview. And then if you pass that, then you go into the situational interview stage, which will be for another date. So right now I'm just going to read out an example of a case study. The case study is usually divided into 3. They describe the host and background, that's one section, the challenge, and then the fellowship project. Then it comes with 4 different questions. So yeah, for this sample, the host and background, we're talking about the city of Westby. Westby is a densely populated city and one of the most ethnically diverse cities in the nation. Westby also has the highest number of vehicles per capita, along with the highest rates of childhood asthma in the state. A few years ago, the city installed air quality sensors to monitor the pollution rate of each neighborhood, but have yet to utilize the data. The city is currently in the process of creating their climate action plan, which centers racial equity in strategies to reduce emissions and improve quality of life outcomes in the community. One of the goals of the plan is to cut the city emissions by 80% by 2040. The challenge. A major contributing factor to the emissions is the high traffic rates in the city. Over the past few years, the number of residents using the city's public transportation has steadily decreased. More residents have started using passenger vehicles to get around, and many of them are leasing cars or using ride-share services. The mayor thinks that people will go back to taking public transit if it's updated, and believe that the best way to reduce transportation emissions is to electrify the city bus fleet and use neighborhood pollution data to prioritize routes for electrification. The Office of Sustainability is interested in expanding electric vehicle charging infrastructure in the city to cut down on related emissions. The Fellowships Project. During your fellowship, you are reporting to the head of the Office of Sustainability. You are tasked with conducting a stakeholder analysis to better understand the mobility needs of the city's residents and what kind of electric vehicle charging infrastructure access would be most practical for them. If time allows, they are also interested in having you explore incentive options that would help fund the upfront cost for the infrastructure installation. At the end of your fellowship, you will be asked to share your recommendations with the city's Transit Advisory Committee. Questions. Number one, what questions would you ask during the first meeting with your supervisor? 2, who will you reach out to in your first week? 3, how would you educate yourself on the local community and the anticipated response to your project? 4, how would you handle the fact that the mayor is pushing for city bus electrification while your team is pushing for passenger vehicle electrification? Note, the purpose of these questions is to understand how you would approach this project. To that end, we request that you do not make specific project recommendation. You will be asked to answer these questions during your interview. Please do not prepare any slides or supporting documents. Remember to consider all the information provided when devising your answers. The city mentioned in this case is fictional, and any similarities to real cities are purely accidental. So this is an example of a case study that will be shared to you and asked for you to analyze. Like you saw, I read 4 questions, but in order to approach this, so this is shared beforehand, right? And when you get into your interview, you'll be asked to start your interview, like tell them what case study you accepted. So I'll suggest that you mention the case study and summarize what the case study was about. So summarize the host, summarize the challenge they're facing, and then summarize what you are required to do as a fellow, right? And so when you've done that, instead of just jumping into number 1, number 2, number 3, I would suggest that you start off with the fact that even before you meet your supervisor, since you've been shared this prompt, you would do a personal brainstorming session where your aim is to understand the problem on a deeper level. In order to understand the problem on a deeper level, you would have to create a problem framework. And this will include defining your problem statement, identifying the root cause, stating an hypothesis, and coming up with alternative solutions. So for example, in what we just read, the problem statement can go like this: to improve the quality of life outcomes in the city of West by cutting cities emission by 80% by 2040. You can go further to say, in order to achieve this, just a rough calculation, in 20 years to achieve 80% reduction, we would have to reduce emissions 4% yearly. You can go ahead to determine the root cause, which has been hinted to be rise in traffic rates. Recall that you're not meant to give specific solutions or recommendations in this case study, so you don't need to go deep, but you can give examples. So determine the root cause, state your hypothesis, and just develop alternative solutions. Like for example, in the case study, they already talked about the mayor trying to electrify bus fleets, and the Office of Sustainability trying to electrify passenger vehicles. So these are the types of alternative solution that you would identify and start thinking deeply how it can be achieved. So when you started with your brainstorming station trying to understand the problem deeper, you can now then go ahead to list out some initial stakeholders that you've identified from just the problem prompt. This is still you being individual before you even meet your supervisor. So for example, from this problem, you can see that the city residents are stakeholders. Your supervisor obviously is a stakeholder, that the Office of Sustainability, the city's Transit Advisory Team, the mayor, like I said, I think I said the mayor already, like the local community leaders, the residents. These are stakeholders that you can already identify. So with you doing a problem statement and already identifying some stakeholders that will be needed in this project, you can now then go for your first meeting with your supervisor. This way you already have questions to ask since you've done your own personal brainstorming. So this brings us now to the first question. What questions would you ask your supervisor in the first meeting? You want to know their vision for this project, their expectation. You really want to know where they are at or where their mind is when it comes to this project. So that's a question you ask to get their point of view about this project that you're about to embark on. If you ask that, then you can also ask about if you'll be working with a team, and if yes, is the team already set up or are you meant to recruit yourself? You can also ask for resources and documents on work that have already been done related to this project, so you can read more and just study and research more about what is currently on ground. If they do not have the resources, you can ask where is the best place to go get those resources. You also want to ask what is the best way to keep communication. Are you guys going to be doing weekly, bi-weekly meetings and email or Zoom calls? Which is the best format to keep the communication going, right? And then a very important thing you want to ask your supervisor is to help populate your stakeholder registry. So remember, I said even before meeting your supervisor, you've brainstormed on a problem framework, but also brainstorm on an initial list of stakeholders. So this would be your stakeholder registry, where you actually list all the internal and external stakeholders for the success of this project. So you list their names, their contact information, their job title, and their project role. So when it's a project role to your project, so are they key to buying, key to implementation, and they project partners? You need to start populating this stakeholder registry from your very first meeting. So you want to ask your supervisor to help with this, because this will determine who you go and meet next. So when you've asked all of this question and you guys have set up your expectation for your project time and what you guys will be doing or what you'll be doing and how you'll be reporting to him or her, then you can go ahead to reach out to the other relevant people in the first week. So in the first week, obviously you can't reach out to all of your stakeholders, so you really want to reach out to, I would say, internal stakeholders like your team members. So from the stakeholder registry you started populating with your supervisor, you can already see people who are considered project partners, and so those will be your team members, and those are the people you want to start reaching out to. If you cannot reach out directly, you want to ask your supervisor to make an introduction. So really you want to reach out to your project partners, which are like your team members, in that first week to really set expectations, to understand where everybody's at. And even like if you have a team that you're working with, I would suggest that you also, in those meetings, suggest a brainstorming session just like you did individually, but you want to do it as a team. If time willing, then you can go to other stakeholders such as people who are key to implementation and buying. But in the first week, you really want to focus on your team. So beyond that, like I mentioned, city residents are stakeholders, mayor is a stakeholder, bus drivers, the community leaders, those people are stakeholders. But like you really want to meet with your team members at first to actually discuss the problem and create a stakeholder engagement plan with those external stakeholders. You also want to reach out to departments or people that will give you more resources, like the historical data of like traffic emissions in the city, for example, in that first week. That is if time willing. The next question says, how would you educate yourself on the local community and the anticipated response to your project? So to be educated on the local needs of the community and the anticipated response to your project, I suggest that you conduct a contextual inquiry. A contextual inquiry is a method that provides insights and understanding of a local community in their natural environment. So a contextual inquiry will allow you briefly but strategically embed yourself within the community in order to build familiarity and experience fundamental functions as they do. So that includes their needs, motivations, and frustrations with public transportation, for instance, in this case that we're talking about. So with the contextual inquiry, you can engage in semi-structured interviews, observe common practices in the local community, and you can identify common places, commute, and energy use practices. So you can also point out that you may need to undergo this contextual inquiry with the assistance of a contextual inquiry expert in order to gather rich and actionable data in the shortest period. The fourth question says, how would you handle the fact that the mayor is pushing for city bus electrification while your team is pushing for passenger vehicle electrification? So I'll go with this is the fact that my very first brainstorming session, I was already creating alternative solutions in my problem statement, which I had further developed even while talking to my team members, which are my project partners. But also, data gotten from the contextual inquiry can support and even add to the already identified alternative solutions. So with all of these alternative solutions identified, a comparative analysis will be carried out between all of the alternative solutions in terms of their technical feasibility, their cost. So in cost, we're looking at return on investment payback period. We also want to know how the emission reduction rates of all of these solutions and also the social impact. So carrying out this comparative analysis and actually sharing the results across all sections of comparison. So in terms of technical feasibility, cost, emission reduction, and social impact, I'll be able to make an informed recommendation. So my recommendation will not be based on sentiments. It will not be based on the fact that I work for the Office of Sustainability against the mayor, and to really be based on what's most beneficial for the city. And if I can present all of my findings, both for my contextual inquiries, my research, and the analysis I conduct, then I'll be able to present to all the stakeholders to see the best path in which the city should follow. So this how I handle like the discrepancies or the conflict of solutions between the mayor and the Office of Sustainability is really just giving them the right comparison and showing them why a particular solution is the best path to follow. So yeah, this is how I will approach a case study. I'm not saying this like the best way or the right way, but this is how I would approach it. I hope you were able to gain a thing or two from all of my ramblings. The good thing about this type of interviews that they shared beforehand, so you're able to practice. But I really want to say that they're really looking for you bringing a project management aspect to this, and also stakeholder engagement, because this is really what you'll be doing. You'll be running a project, so they want to see your project management skill and your stakeholder engagement intuition. And also you have to have some technical knowledge in sustainability in order to be able to prefer solutions. But yeah, in this interview they really want to see how you approach it, not the specific solutions itself. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope this helped at least one person. I wish you guys success in your interview. This is 2023, but I hope this video helps people way beyond this year, and even like in other interviews, because I've not done like other sustainability interviews, but I hope this can also like give insights on how you can approach such type of interviews. Yeah, if you like this video, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and join the family. I really record beneficial videos like this, so I really love if you can support the channel and subscribe and just join my team, my family on here. Until next time, continue to live consciously, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.